Let's call Article 9 the Get It in Writing article. Be ready to answer the following questions at the end of the section. 1. What types of agreements need to be in writing? 2. Why do they need to be in writing? 3. What does time is of the essence mean?
Realtors, for the protection of all parties, shall assure whenever possible that all agreements related to real estate transactions, including but not limited to listing and representation agreements, purchase contracts, and leases, are in writing in clear and understandable language expressing the specific terms, conditions, obligations, and commitments of the parties. A copy of each agreement shall be furnished to each party to such agreements upon their signing or initialing.
In your day-to-day business activities, you deal with a myriad of written documents: listing agreements, representation agreements, agency disclosure forms, property condition disclosure forms, lead paint disclosure forms, written offers to purchase, memorandums of agreement. The list can seem endless because disclosure documents are required as the law changes. One of the temptations in the fast-paced world of real estate is to cut corners. Oh, I forgot to bring the agency disclosure form for my buyer to sign. I'll get it signed next week. Another temptation is to avoid clearly explaining the forms and agreements that we have consumers sign, trying to avoid difficult questions. For example, if you are a seller's agent showing a property to a buyer customer, it can be very tempting to avoid explaining to the buyer that you will be representing and advocating for the other party in the transaction. Consequently, you fail to obtain their signatures on an agency disclosure form. After all, how can a buyer sign an agency disclosure form acknowledging you are a seller's agent when that has not been explained to them? Another common temptation that agents occasionally succumb to is the belief that the consumer won't sign the documents. In large part, that's because agents are not comfortable explaining the numerous documents that you must present to consumers. Real estate transactions can be complex and confusing. Consumers are counting on you, the real estate professional, to provide expert advice and common sense explanations as the transaction unfolds. That means you have to be confident and comfortable in explaining the various forms that consumers must sign. If you are not comfortable and complete in your explanations, then the consumer is probably not going to be comfortable in signing the document. One of the least acceptable explanations is, "Here, sign right here. It's required by law." Unfortunately, that seems to be one of Fred's favorite explanations, as we're about to see. What we're about to witness are conversations that Fred has with a prospective purchaser, Ms. Rose. See if you can pick out those instances when Fred seems to violate Article 9. You'll get bonus points if you identify additional instances when Fred seems to violate some of the articles we've already reviewed. Try to keep track of how many times Article 9 is being violated. You may also find other article violations as well. Keep track.
As I was saying, Ms. Rose, this is an ideal time to be looking for a home. The inventory is as strong as I've seen in several years. And I think with your range, we shouldn't have any problem finding the ideal house for you.
I hope that's the case. As I told you on the phone, I've been relocated rather suddenly, and I'd like to move into a new home prior to the school year beginning. My kids are not looking forward to changing schools as it is, so I don't want to make it more difficult for them by having to change schools during the school year.
We'll definitely try to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, you indicated that you were familiar with the various types of agency relationships and that you'd like me to represent you as a buyer's agent. I have no problem doing that. I work with buyer clients all the time. I'll be able to help you get the best price and terms on any property you choose to bid on. All you need to do is sign right here, and we can begin to go look at properties.
I appreciate that you'll be able to represent me as a buyer's agent, Fred. But what is this that I'm signing?
It basically just says that I'm working for you as a buyer's agent, and it's required by law. So if you just sign here, we can begin.
But does this explain exactly what you'll do for me as a buyer's agent?
No, like I said, I'll use my best efforts on your behalf to get the best price and terms. Everything I do will benefit you.
Does it say how long our agreement will last?
Well, no, it's not really an agreement, Ms. Rose. It's an agency disclosure form. It just says that I've explained the various agency relationships available to you, and you've acknowledged that I'll be your buyer's agent.
Oh, I see. I think. So what does create our agreement?
Well, I guess our conversation right now.
And how long does this agreement last again?
For as long as you'd like me to represent you. I'm at your disposal.
And who pays your commission?
Well, a seller, of course. I don't expect any compensation from you.
I have to tell you, Fred, I'm used to having clear agreements that are in writing. But I'm new to this area, and I guess you do things differently here. I guess I'll just have to trust you. Let's go look at some homes.